Hello everybody. Happy weekend. Thank you for joining me in today's video. I am going to start off with a larger size canvas today. And I just realized I'm usually working on the back side of the paper because there is more texture to it, but I taped the actual front of the paper today. So maybe that is a sign or a blessing in disguise. We will find out. But instead of cutting the paper in half like I usually do and work on a 6x9, I want to work a little bit bigger. So I taped off an 8x10 space on this paper, and we're just gonna throw some color down and see what happens. Actually, I do want to make the back wet because I have a feeling we're gonna be working with a lot of water, but we'll see. The colors that I want to work with today are Imperial Purple by Daniel Smith. And I put it in a dish and added some water. Whoa. I also want to work with the Cerulean Blue by Daniel Smith, and that's in the stick form, which I am diluting in water as well. And I think that might be enough. I don't want that to be super saturated anyway. And also in stick form, I have the Sap Green by Daniel Smith. And I just love the color combination of these three. But I'm curious as to, I haven't worked with the Imperial Purple in a long time. So I'm very curious. I don't remember if it's a granulating color or not. So we will all find out together. It's finally cooled off here in Northern California a little bit. And we got some rain, and I'm feeling invigorated and fresh. It feels like, you got a good rinse of that summer stickiness off of you, and now we can get ready for the fall. So that's where I'm at. Also, I was just accepted into a maker's market, and I am very excited and a little freaked out. But I am going to post some new and different stuff on my Instagram because they are going to advertise all the makers, and I don't really have anything on my Instagram that is for selling. So we are entering a different phase, and I'm a little bit scared and I'm a little excited, mostly excited. And if you are in the area, which, you are from all over the place, so I don't expect anybody to actually live close by to where I am. But if you happen to be in Los Gatos on November 15, come over and say hi, please. I would love to meet you. think I want a little bit more green, and I want it to drip down that edge. So the goal is to, you know, have obviously some stuff to sell at the market, and then whatever I don't sell is gonna go on my website, which is at the moment is not working, and that is for a reason, because I have limited inventory and I don't want to stress myself out in case, you know, people want to buy stuff off the website. So I need inventory for the market, and then whatever doesn't sell is going to go up on the website. And unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to have international shipping yet, because I am new to selling online and I don't want to overwhelm myself. So for right now, it's only going to be available in the US, and I'm sorry for those of you who want to buy from me and can't because you don't live in the US. But once I get used to it and know how everything works, I am planning on opening the store up internationally. I just don't know how to deal with customs and everything, so please forgive me. I was soft launching my calendars on my YouTube channel. I've been hinting at it here and there, so I will have calendars available, and also other things. That Imperial Purple has some blue in it. Look at that. How beautiful. And some pink. It almost reminds me a little bit actually of the Kuretake ones, the granulating colors. There's some blue and some pink in there. Do you see that? Wowzers. Okay, get rid of that. Okay, now it is very wet, and I think I am going to leave it like that, but I will come back and add more to the next layer and intensify the colors a little bit more. The colors dried beautifully, and there was actually quite a lovely granulation going on that came from that purple, but there was too much pink that showed up in the dried version, and so this is me attempting to cover up that pink a little bit more because I really didn't want it there. I started using the Imperial Purple again, but then I switched to the Lunar Violet because I was worried that the pink was going to show up again, and so I just wanted to make sure that it stayed purple. And I had so much color on my brush that it started to drip down, and then I decided to just embrace that and add some more splatters. However, I ended up covering most of it up again, but that's the beauty of working this way. You just never know how it's going to end up, and either you're going to embrace your mistakes and incorporate them, or you are able to cover them up again. I really didn't have a plan for this second layer. I started with circles and then it just continued with circles. And I really loved how this layer turned out. It gave me so much joy to see all of these colors play together and mingle. Look at this. It's just so beautiful. And I could have totally left it like that, but I want to challenge myself more, and I also want to show you guys a little bit more than just putting down watercolor. I am working with colored pencils for more dimension and depth, and I just love the combination of the color pencils on top of watercolor. It's really easy to intensify certain areas without disturbing the layer underneath. I am hopping back and forth in those circles, coloring with pencil, but then also starting to lay down some of those fine lines with my fine liner pens. Now I know what this is going to look, and I'm going to take the wind out of your sails because I know it's coming. And I am here to tell you that I am very aware of the fact that I am borrowing some of these tree elements from CC's creations. I have said this in the past, and I would like to talk about this again. This is one of the reasons why I don't like watching other creators that have a similar style to mine, because I feel like I am being influenced without knowing that I'm being influenced. I couldn't help it. I saw trees and I wanted to bring them into this piece so bad. And as I was doing it, I was like, oh my God, this looks exactly like what CC does in her paintings, only she does it 1,000 times better than I could ever do. But not to be too harsh on myself and be too critical of what I'm doing. I have worked with color pencils on watercolor before, and it is a style that really speaks to me. And while I am feeling like I'm being influenced somewhat by her style, I'm also working on making everything my own. And that's all we really can do, because how can we not feel influenced by others? There's so much information out for us to consume. It's really hard to call a certain style your own when there is so many other things that people put out there. But I figured I would acknowledge that fact and just let you guys know that I am aware, and I hope she doesn't take this as me wanting to copy her, which is definitely not what I am intending and probably could never achieve anyway. So there is that. If you have no idea who I'm talking about, I would suggest you go look up Cece's creations here on YouTube. She's a wonderful watercolor artist and just does beautiful work. I continue bringing those fine lines with the black pen, and while I am doing that, I want to make sure that they look similar but not the same, so that it all feels cohesive and one is not overpowering the others. And so I'm just switching up the styles of those lines a little bit. And I think it looks really nice that way. I was looking for a little bit more dark areas without them overpowering the rest of the painting, and so I brought these elements in, and I think they worked really well. They're dainty enough so that they don't stick out too much, and they also fit nicely with the lines that I already put down. I am loving where this is heading, even though it doesn't make sense as to what it's supposed to be, but that is part of the intrigue, and that's why I keep coming back to this style. I do love exploring other things, but I keep coming back to it, and at some point I'm just going to have to embrace that fact, and maybe it's time to start leaning into it a little bit more. I wonder if it would still work for me if I were to put a little bit more thought into it ahead of time, and maybe plan out what I want to do before I start jumping in putting colors down. I'm a little worried that I'm going to have that overpower my intuitiveness, but who knows? I guess the only way to find out is to try it. At this point, I needed to take the tape off because I was starting to not be able to see what I was doing, and so taking the tape off really helps me see the whole picture a little bit more clear. And up until now, I also have not brought in any gold. That is another thing that I am trying out, because there's always been a little bit of a shimmer by adding some watercolor gold to my backgrounds, and I have not done that. But I couldn't help bringing in some gold dots. I felt like it really needed a little bit of something, and so that's why I decided to add in the gold dots here. I am bringing out my watercolor pencils. I really loved how the bubbles turned out in one of my previous paintings, where I used the Posca pen and just kind of alluded to a bubble. But I want to use these colors and make them look a little bit more realistic. So this is what I'm gonna try and do in this painting. Let me try and add water to the watercolor pencils first. And now I'm gonna go in with the white. More water. Because that way the pencils are activated before I put the acrylic paint on top. And then they can mix a little bit easier. I think I like that better. And then once it's dry, or a little bit drier, I can go in and add the highlights. I love how these bubbles turned out. Adding the color to it gives it so much more dimension, and then just lightly outline it as well with the white gives the end result a pop, and still have it just hinting that there's a little bubble floating up in the air. I really like how I did that. Good job, B. Sometimes I try stuff and it doesn't work out. This time it did, and that makes me happy. And with that, we have reached the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for joining me today. And if you made it all the way to here, please leave me a little bubble emoji in the comments. I always love when those pop up. It's kind of a secret little thing that tells me that you made it all the way to the end. Have a wonderful weekend wherever you are in the world. Stay creative, and I will see you next week with a new video.